Hello and welcome to It'll Be Alright in the 90s, the favourite podcast of both Bodger, Badger, Badgeline Buses and Badger Girl. I'm Alex Greenwood and here with me is my usual co-host, Stu Joslin. Stu, did we overlook the Badger as the most 90s animal?
We may have done, although I've got more issue with the fact that you keep referring to me as your usual co-host in these introductions. Is there something in the works here? Are you speaking to Jeff behind my back?
Well, I won't say anything.
Is brother of the pod Adam circling around like a vulture overhead, waiting for me to do something which means I need to be removed?
Well, it's always on the cards, isn't it? There's always that possibility. Official vulture of the pod, Adam.
I'm fine, thanks, mate. It's lovely to be with you, and lovely to be back with our listeners as well. Hi, guys. Thanks for tuning in again.
We will be talking about some UK adverts from the 90s shortly, after we get through some of our usual regular features. Don't take this the wrong way, Stu, but you look like you could do with a holiday, which is perfect for today's sponsor, because today we are sponsored by Lund Poly. So if you go to your local branch of Lund Poly travel agents and quote the code ALLRIGHT90s, you can get 10% off a flight to Torremolinos, Benidorm or Calabona this spring. So enjoy some sun, sand and knockoff football shirts courtesy of It'll Be Alright in the 90s and Lund Poly, today's sponsor.
Thanks, Lund Poly. I remember their big ad campaign in the mid-90s was "Get Away," when and then the thing that was saying what was good about Lund Poly would then disappear. I clearly remember there being an advert with two columns that were holding up like a Stonehenge thing, like with a stone going across the two, and the two columns were speaking to each other. And then, oh yeah, you can get this offer with Lund Poly. Get away, and then it would disappear, and then the stone fell down. Very, very good. Very memorable, clearly.
Yes, at Lund Poly we discount every holiday we sell with only £20 to pay now.
Get away. Get away for less with Lund Poly.
This is it again, though. So first of all, you say I'm your usual co-host. Then you say I need a holiday. Something is up here. Something is happening. I really don't know how I should be taking this.
I don't want to
wake up with wake up with a horse's head in the bed on the tomorrow morning.
Yeah. No, don't worry. It's all in your head, mate. It's all in your head.
All in the horse's head.
One tiny little bit of news. It's not really news. That would be over-egging it to say it was news. But I did stumble across this in an old Guardian article. I don't know why I saw this. But it's about shag bands. Do you remember shag bands?
Yes,
from
certainly do.
What's the most 90s fashion accessory? It was your choice, I believe.
Indeed. Yes. What have you got?
Well, I think you said that in your school it was, if you pulled someone's shag band off, that meant you were going to go out with them or sleep with them or something like that.
Yes, yeah. That was the gist of it. Yeah.
Yeah, according to the Guardian, it said in some schools they apparently symbolise sexual experience. So one website suggests a yellow band if you've kissed someone, black if you've gone all the way. Whereas in others the meanings are similar, but they denote favours you would be willing to perform. So this suggests that shag bands have different meanings in different regions of the country.
Well, I'm shocked and appalled. That certainly didn't filter down to Caution Primary, let me tell you.
No,
this is news to me. So it's like the old traffic light dating. Different colours mean different things.
Yeah. I mean, that must make you feel differently about the yellow shag band you're wearing now that I can see. You're going to have to switch that, aren't you?
Talk about something else.
What colour is it for married? Right, shall we get on with some correspondence, Stu?
Yes, absolutely.
We've got a fairly large post bag here, which I'm going to dig into now. Actually, do you want to go first? What have you got over there?
Yeah, certainly can. I've got something from regular correspondent Alex Mitchell, who was writing in about our Noel's house party stroke Mr. Blobby chat, which happened at the start of our 1997 chart episode, a couple of episodes back. He says, was there a feature on Noel's house party where they got a goalkeeper to try and save penalties taken by a robot? I have a memory of, I think, Mark Crossley saving every shot. Was it called Sofa Soccer? Well, I can answer that, Alex. Yes, it was called Sofa Soccer. I remember it very clearly myself. My memory is of the Spurs reserve goalkeeper at the time, Espen Bardson, taking part. And it was like, do you have any memory of a TV program called The Golden Shot? I think it was off the air before we would have started watching TV, really, or known what it was. But it was so somebody would phone in, or there'd be somebody in the studio, and they would be able to control something that would shoot at a target. So they would say up, left, right, and then shoot.
Yeah.
So then, as I remember it, the goalkeeper's in the goal, and then there was like a sort of cannon that would shoot footballs, but it would be moving around, and then the caller would say shoot, and then the ball would be released, and if they got past the goalkeeper, then they would win a prize or something like that. And it was a feature in one of the last series of Noel's House Party. I think it ran throughout the entire last series. So yet another reason to watch the whole run of that series, which is all available on YouTube. I think some deeper investigation is required here. But yeah, so for soccer, very, very well remembered Shea Joslin. So thanks for that, Alex.
So I have something here from Legend of the Pod, Kate Pro. This is in relation to an episode a couple of weeks back where we talked about scare stories, public scare stories.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, it's like torturing a puppy. How could Damon Law do such a thing to our Stu? Which is obviously in relation to ne'er-do-well Damon Law, who once held a sharpened pencil on your seat.
Indeed.
As you were about to sit down.
Damon Law operating very much outside the law on that occasion, as he often did in year 4, I have to say.
Yeah. Is that
don't know where he is now. I can't remember him being in year 5 or 6. So, I mean, Damon, if you are listening, get in touch and apologise by all means.
Yeah. It's about time.
And thank you so much for your compassion there, Kate. I really do appreciate it.
Kate also says, bring back the scaremongering of lead and ink poisoning. I think it must have been a tactic to keep kids clean. Child of the pod is always coming home covered in pen, skin, clothes. It's all over the place. So she'd like to reinstate that fear. Please.
Well, we can do our best. I mean, when we're not going to get behind reinstating fear about rotary washing lines, but we can change tack, definitely.
We can do them both, I think, at the same time.
Do both. We got capacity for that.
Yeah, good point. We might have to do one first and see how we get on.
Yeah.
Let's start with the rotary washing lines and then see if we can get ink and lead poisoning back on the agenda.
Yeah, let's not run before we can walk, right?
Exactly. Okay, what else have you got over there? Sorry, I just interrupted you having a sip of your can of Skol there.
Skol lager. Yeah, we've encouraged by your caffrees the other week. I've gone for Skol tonight. Very much an 80s lager, I would say, but most welcome here. I've just been joined by Cat of the Pod as well for the correspondence section. So hello, Algie. There he is.
Has he got any correspondence?
Any correspondence, Al? No, he's looking behind the furniture in the room at the moment. There's something that's interesting him down there. If he's got anything, I'll ask him to email it in. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, I have some correspondence here regarding our American football episode, our last episode which came out. And this is from a chap called Nigel Baker, who was the team captain of the Bath Gladiators. We've gone straight to the top.
Nice.
So this came about because my dad mentioned the Bath Gladiators website, which he'd had a look at to research the games at Corsham School. I had a look at the names of all the players on there. They've got like a season-by-season breakdown of appearances. And I noticed a name there, which I thought might be my friend James Baker's dad. And happily, it turned out it was. I got in touch with James. James put me in touch with Nigel. And Nigel has really kindly provided us with the following memories. He says, there was one scrimmage and 3 games played by the Bath Gladiators in Corsham. 2 of them were at the school. I went to the school and left in 1977. I would never have guessed I would be playing fully kitted American football all those years later. It was quite a surreal feeling, especially as I was team captain of the Gladiators and had not been particularly good at the sport apart from rugby while at school. I suppose it shows that once you find a sport or a pastime you enjoy, you can excel at it because you're more committed. He says it was also nice as we won the Corsham base games. So yes, there were 2 games at Corsham School, another game played at Corsham Rugby Club a few years later, and then there was a scrimmage, so sort of a practice session, I suppose, just on the field at the Springfield Centre, which would have been amazing to see, just walking through the park, and there's some American football going on. But Nigel, thank you so much for getting in touch with me and providing those memories. It was really great to hear that. And if anybody else from the Bath Gladiators is listening who has any memories of the time, anybody who played or was involved in the team, please do let us know because we would love to hear more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or if any of the majorettes who performed
of course.
In the first game.
The Norton Radstock Starlet majorettes.
Yeah.
Yes, please do. Please do. Absolutely.
Please. Okay, this next message is from friend of the pod, Hannah Kelly Fletcher. And she says, I'm listening to your books episode and I have a comment on the What's the Most 90s Public Scare story. So again, much like Kate's message. inspired by that particular What's the Most 90s. And she says, how about when schools banned kids playing British Bulldog in the playground?
Yes, of course.
Apparently, it wasn't a legislative thing. That's a myth. But just schools felt it would cause too many injuries, so they banned it. It was big news when it was banned while I was at primary school. Do you remember this? Well, I do remember this.
Yes, absolutely, I do. Yes.
Yeah, I'd forgotten until Hannah sent that message in, but of course it did happen when I was at school and would have done for you as well, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think it might still have been into sort of my years at secondary school. It was verboten at Corsham School as well. But I have a memory of sort of illegal games being played on the park because we couldn't play it at school. But I was never really involved in that sort of thing. It was far too rough for me. I'm very weak. I've got no I'm an Orthodox coward. I've got no problem with admitting that. So it was never my cup of tea really. But yeah, no, British Bulldog was definitely something to be avoided.
Yeah, me too. I was more of a line tag or a stuck in the mud sort of guy back then.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think British Bulldog had been banned maybe before I even went to school. Because I remember having this aura, just a name. It felt like a sort of. I just knew that it's supposed to be violent, and when you're in the infants in primary school, that's sort of the last thing you really want. Is something that's supposed to be violent and scary. So, yeah, I never played it. It was just this mythical.
I got enough of that sort of thing playing rugby in year 7 anime, having never played rugby before. And, getting tackled by a bigger kid. First lesson on a Monday and -3. You have to, you're not showered for the rest of the day. And So I've got to stop now because it's bringing back too much. I won't sleep tonight. Let's move on.
Let's save that for our school memories episode.
School nightmares of the 90s. Yeah, absolutely. I've got something here from our friend Rob from the Premiership years, who contributed with our What's the Most 90s football transfer a little while ago. And he nominated, of course, Alan Shearer to Newcastle for £15 million. He says, "Hi guys, I listened back to the episode last night. I really enjoyed it and couldn't help but feel it was accidentally tailored to me personally. Here are my reasons. Obviously, the 90s football transfer discussion is right up my street. Big tick for Rob there. He also says, I have an embarrassing knowledge of 90s pop music. I don't want to boast, but I remembered that Hanson single immediately and sang out loud as it was read out. My crappy pop bands trivia has been sat dormant for too long, and this new strand of yours could really indulge my terrible taste in music. So maybe Rob, a future guest on a random chart episode. I'm sure Joe would be more than happy to accommodate. Then we move on to the good stuff here. So Crinkly Bottom, a big feature of the last couple of episodes. He says Morecambe is the town next to my hometown, and we take our little boy to the aforementioned Happy Mount Park, former site of Crinkly Bottom, all the time. I did indeed visit the Blobbyland as a child, though I don't really remember it. It was a disaster, and everybody around here detests Noel Edmonds as a result. So there's our first libel action of the evening.
Yeah. We need a special bell or something, don't we?
We do, yeah. We need to ring a bell every time we're going to libel someone. There was another reference to Dawson's Creek in this episode. That programme is my guilty pleasure. I've rewatched it all a couple of times and still think it's amazing, much to my friends' amusement. Please consider me if you finally achieve your dream, well, it's Alex's dream really, of doing a Dawson's Creek episode. I just want to be Pacey Witter. That's all I want. Then he goes on to say, even the #1 single in the chart had a link to myself. Other than football, my next biggest pastime interest in life is Marilyn Monroe. Of course, Candle in the Wind was a reworked version of the song originally about Marilyn, the only song capable of bringing tears to my eyes. Also, the forgotten other song on that single, Something About the Way, is brilliant. I'm an Elton fan, and that song is probably in my top 3 of his songs. So it was an episode that strangely felt like it catered just for me. I couldn't believe my luck, and frankly, I would have been a perfect guest on that particular episode. Keep up the good work, guys. Well, Rob, we are so happy that you enjoyed it. Really happy to oblige. And so I think, if you are looking to get rid of me for at least 1 week, I reckon yourself, Rob, Catherine, Dawson's Creek Dream Team, Dawson's Creek Special. What do we think?
I'd say so, yeah. And actually, all those messages you were getting towards the start of this episode where you're starting to feel a bit suspicious, I can now reveal the next episode will be... No, I'm joking.
Oh, I was really keen. I was, the fear was rising then. No, not fear. It would be lovely. I would not mind at all if you did a Dawson's Creek episode. It's just, I wouldn't be able to contribute anything. So please do. If you want to do it, I'm more than happy.
Okay. Well, we'll think about it. if you're interested in having an episode of It'll Be Alright in the 90s tailored specifically to your needs, do get in touch on the usual channels and we will see what we can do. And we have very competitive rates for that, don't we, Stu?
We do. I mean, obviously, this was very fortuitous for Rob. We can do something that's tailored to you specifically, but yes, there will need to be a fee agreed. We can't, we can't come up with that without suitable recompense. Definitely
Exactly,
not.
yeah.
Time again for What's the Most 90s. I think we've got a particularly meaty one to get our teeth into tonight. Alex, what do you think the most 90s occupation is?
I struggled with this one a little bit. It did seem like something should be obvious, but I did struggle a bit. But in the end, coincidentally, actually, due to our sponsor, or maybe that's why I thought of it, but I have gone for travel agents. So
Okay.
I'm thinking going places, your Thompsons, your London Pollies, package holidays to the Costa Brava, a 2-week family stay to Pontins, maybe a school residential to the Dordogne, if you're lucky. All things that have maybe become a little bit less of a big deal these days. I think people are happy to just book their own holidays now, just go straight to EasyJet or some other airline or Airbnb, those sort of things where everything can just be done online now. And I think travel agency going into a place to speak to someone who will sort out everything for you, I think that must have died out, or at least died down a bit in the last 10, 15 years. So that's kind of why I've chosen it. I think it must have been a much bigger thing then. And as we've said before, the 90s was a time when people were really starting to expand across the continent on cheap holidays and cheap flights and stuff. So I think they probably would have been as busy as ever. That's why I've gone for travel agents. Yeah, what about you?
Mm-hmm. Well, spring 96, I remember my mum and dad going places in Chippenham and just getting a brochure which had everywhere you could go with going places. Just one big brochure, 500 or 600 pages. They spent an afternoon going through it, and then the following week they went back to going places with the brochure and said, "This is the one we'd like, please." And I totally agree. And funny enough, it was to Calabona, which is, of course, one of the destinations you can get to with Lund Poly with our super offer this week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. It's something that is obviously still there on the high street, but as you say, the way that you interface with it has definitely changed due to the internet. And in a way, that's the way I've gone with mine as well. So I actually asked wife of the pod, Beth, to give me her opinion on this, and she came up with a few good ones. Tie rack employee, tie shop employee.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw a shop that just sold ties? Of course, video shop owner operator.
Yeah.
Person who goes around restocking cigarette vending machines in pubs. That was another one of her ideas. But I've gone with one of my own, which is photo developer in the back room of a chemist.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So on a Saturday morning or whenever you went into town, you've come back from your 2 weeks in Calabona with Lund Poly. You've got 5 or 6 films out of the camera. You take them into Boots or wherever, drop them off, and then 2 hours later, your physical prints are ready. Obviously, with the technology of the day, you never knew what they would come out like. You couldn't remember what you'd taken a photo of. There, you couldn't, unless you had a very advanced camera, you wouldn't have been able to see the photo immediately. It was just on the roll. I don't know if you ever had any photos that came out like this when you took them to be developed, but if they'd been overexposed or you'd taken one with the shutter across by accident, it would have the developer would have put a little sticker on it saying this didn't come out properly.
Yeah.
A little oval sticker, as I recall.
Yeah.
And yeah, just that, that whole process of dropping it off, wondering what they're going to be like, going back and getting 5 or 6 like wallets of 24, 30 prints. Again, it's that physical interface with it, whereas of course now you just take your photos on your phone, or if you've got a proper camera, you take your photos on that, but you can still see it immediately and you can delete it if it's no good. You can line up, get the perfect shot. But so that anticipation of having had a great holiday, going and getting the pictures and then getting to see them and remember the time is something that's vanished, and it's an occupation that's vanished as well. I don't think there are many photo developing places around anymore. I think there might be a few. Can you still do it at places like Jessop's I'm not sure. Or do they just sell equipment?
Maybe. I think it's mainly just machines now, isn't it? Like Snappy Snaps. You go in there and it's an automatic machine. You just type in what you want and stuff. So
Indeed, there's nobody actually physically doing the developing.
yeah.
So that is my most 90s occupation is domestic photograph developer.
Oh, great choice. Yeah,
For want of a better, I don't know what the official title is, but that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, no, if you ever did that or know someone who did that job, do let us know what the official title is so we can properly celebrate you.
Oh, absolutely.
But it was, I used to love that, like waiting to get your photos developed and seeing what they look like and seeing which ones had actually come out. Being consistently disappointed by the photos you've taken at a gig with a disposable camera where it's clearly too dark for anything to actually come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a happy memory. Sadly gone, but good choice.
So which one's going in the ledger?
I think it's got to be photo developers. It's so over time and really has disappeared in a way that travel agents haven't. You can still go to a travel agent, so yeah, cool. I think that's it. I think you've got it.
Point of order on what's the most 90s, by the way. Great to have Jack and Roddy on from How Many Geese last time out. Yeah. But listening back to the episode, I realised listening back to the episode, I noticed that we didn't actually put anything in the ledger. We never decided what the most 90s animal actually was.
We didn't. We had about 8 maybes.
Yes, we did. Yeah. So that's something we'll need to decide off air and come back to maybe. But we can't leave these things undone. Otherwise, people are going to start losing sleep.
Time now for our main feature, which is some 90s adverts from the UK, which we are going to be watching together. This is the first time we've tried using this particular software, Watch Together. So we're going to both be looking at these adverts together on the same screen, and we urge you to do the same. We will send a link to the YouTube video in the episode description so you can all watch at the same time and see what on earth we're talking about. Although some of these adverts may just be familiar to you from the sounds you can hear and our descriptions, but it will be more fun if you watch along. So
of course,
we recommend that.
We've got a good 20-minute supercut here of some of the best adverts from across the decade. First time we looked at adverts, it was very, very good, and looking forward to more of the same. Yeah.
So let's start now. Amusing comedy.
So straight away we're in with something which I don't think would be made today. No. Good old Mel Sykes and a Boddington's animated advert. Now, this was the first one I wanted to speak about really, and it's for Marbles Bank, and the whole thing is based around purchasing things on the internet being scary.
Yeah.
Which obviously now is such an alien idea as to be completely incomprehensible, really. And then there's another advert which actually goes along the same lines later for another bank. So struck me as a bit
I noticed the same things as you. It says in-person transaction would now be the thing that people are scared of, I think, but back then it was internet purchase and online transaction and stuff. It's like you say, it's just amusing that was seen as so terrifying back in the day.
Marbles may be a future sponsor of the pod.
Yeah, that's true.
Get in touch with them. Yeah.
I think what we've got here, Stu, looks worryingly like a Ledette.
Yes, I think it might be.
Judging by her behaviour. I would absolutely kill for a Bacardi Breezer, though. I wish they still existed. It was the first ever alcoholic drink that I was allowed to buy and was bought by my parents. So I'll always have a special place in my heart, the pineapple Bacardi Breezer.
Absolutely. Now an advert for The Sixth Sense in cinemas. Special advance previews, indeed.
Yeah. Now, this is a Hugo Boss advert, which looks like it could be shown on TV now. They've never really changed, I don't think, aftershave adverts.
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, they always seem to follow a pretty similar formula.
Yeah, a nonsense formula. It's just like it's just nothing. It's a good-looking person, sort of just wandering aimlessly around with maybe some surreal stuff going on.
it's very rare that you can actually figure out what they mean. Yeah, so it's good to know that they're still following an age-old pattern. Anyway, so this now is quite bizarre. It's a baby crawling through a load of digital set-top boxes on some links. And in the end, the advert is actually for LG TV, or LG TVs, I should say.
Yeah.
And this was the first one where I nearly went back to the old trope of let's all laugh at the old technology, because the TV is massive.
But I'm slightly surprised that was in the 90s. I think that must be very late 90s that they had in like integrated digital receivers in TVs. But then I think things just went very quickly after that, because that's not like Freeview, is it? That's just how you get Sky. Sky.
Yeah, I think it's that's the inference. But it must be a 90s advert, as you say. It must be a very late 90s advert. Because then obviously the Freeview technology came along a couple of years later. But interesting to see nonetheless.
Yeah, it's definitely pre-flat screen as well, isn't it? It's still the big beast that would have to sit about 3 feet away from your wall.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, very, very deep television, that.
Yeah.
This was the first one that I really liked, I have to say. So this is for Skips, and it looks like it might be an Aardman creation, or it's definitely a similar style.
Yeah.
But what strikes me is they used the power of the skip to change the channel on the TV to show a football match.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just use the remote?
I know, it's like, it's not the greatest superpower. Well, I actually thought, are they using the power of the skip to just get rid of something they don't like?
I see. Right.
Is that what's going on there? In which case, how many kids went into school the next day to confront the school bully, armed only with a packet of skips, in the hope that they could affect some sort of change?
It does not fair thinking about it. It really doesn't.
No. They visibly melt, apparently. I don't remember cheesy skips, do you?
I was going to say, the other thing to note here is easy cheesy flavour skips, which I would have liked to have tried, probably similar to a Quaver, I would imagine, in texture and consistency.
I reckon they used the same powder, didn't they? They mixed the powder from the Quaver with the maize snack of the skip. One of the finest snacks, I think.
Maybe we can ask your brother. He's still got a packet of Golden Jubilee Coronation Chicken crisps hanging around, hasn't he? Maybe has he got some easy cheesy skips in the drawer as well?
He might do. He might have some in the vault. He'll have to go down to Lloyd's of London to open up his
of course,
vault and dig them out. But yeah, maybe. Right, next advert.
Again, I think this is quite quaint because it's for Royal Mail.
Yeah.
I don't think Royal Mail advertise anymore, but just to advertise the fact that you can post things. Send nice things to people you like.
Yeah.
I think is quite a quaint idea.
It is, yeah. And it's nice. It's like a girl who's writing on special notepaper to her grandparent who's given her a poster of some pop band.
Indeed.
It's very great. I noticed about this Duracell advert, how many batteries do these devices require? Have you noticed there's like 20 batteries in some of those devices? No wonder Duracell's trying to get you to buy them.
That Ghetto Blaster, would need about 25, I think.
Yeah.
It's that would be ruinously expensive. But if if they're the best on the market, buy cheap, buy twice. You buy an own brand battery, you buy that many own brand batteries, you're going to be going back to the shop the next week. Duracell, you might get 2 weeks out of it.
It's true. It's true.
Battery powered large stereos, man. I mean, those were the days. They really were. Right. Sorry. What we got next?
Probably the classiest of all the people carriers, I'd say.
Indeed. So this is for the Chrysler Voyager.
Yeah.
Now, Beth and I sometimes play a game when we're watching adverts. If it's not immediately clear what the advert is for, we will try and guess what it's for before the product is revealed.
Yeah.
And I went through this entire advert, and not once did it strike me that it might be for the car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be for a restaurant or some of the clothes or something like that, but not at any point did it strike me that it would be for the car. So clearly I'm very bad at that game. The other thing to note there is that some teletext numbers are given on the closing closing caption.
Oh,
So you
nice.
can punch those in for some more information.
Yeah. I'm not really surprised you felt like that, because it does just look like that's the taxi driver. I suppose you're supposed to think that, so it doesn't look like it's part of it. And it's a people carrier, the least exciting of all the car genres, isn't it? Although that was the classiest one of its day. Okay.
Well, count yourself lucky. It could have been a PT Cruiser.
So this is Joanna. Is her name Joanna Scanlon? I think
it is. It's Joanna Scanlon from The Thick of It.
Yeah.
And other various TV programs. Very famous actress now. But there she was in an advert for the Egg online bank.
Is this the other example of someone being afraid of online shopping?
It is, yes. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And how many of these banks were there? How many of these startup internet only banks were there?
Yeah.
Which were so was the idea that you could get a credit card specifically for your internet purchases, which would then protect you from, fraudulent use and everything else, and losing money on a scam? Was that the idea?
I don't understand. I've never really understood adverts for credit cards, because I always just think credit cards you get from your bank, but I'm quite naive when it comes to financial matters like credit cards. So I don't know. I probably embarrassed myself by even asking that, but yeah, I remember a few of them being around at the time. Goldfish was another one, I think.
Yeah, indeed. Then. Yeah, this is why we had to put Jeff in charge of the finances of the pod, isn't it? Because we just couldn't. It was all a bit much for you, wasn't it, in that initial meeting where we got the spreadsheets and the ready reckoners out, and you had to leave the room. I recall.
Yeah. I kept trying to blow it all on Tangy Toms, but you said to put some aside for more important things like guests. But
that's right. Well, I hope you're not suggesting that we have a budget for guests.
No, sorry. Yeah, just to make clear, we have no budget for guests.
That's right. They come on out of the goodness of their hearts. And we thank them for it.
Yeah. Some of them don't even do that, but there you go.
No, that's true. Yeah. The less said about this next one, the better, I think.
Well, I did want to say one thing about it. Is the person on the right taking it seriously? Because whole advert looks like it's kind of serious, but there's the one woman on the right of one-to-one girl looks like she's taking the mick. I do urge people to watch this one just so they can try and decide that for themselves. But it's the one-to-one cool girls in thing. I'm not sure exactly what the product is, as it were, but yeah, just check out the woman on the right and see if you think she's taking it seriously or not.
Don't try and phone the number though. We can't be held responsible for anything that might or might not happen.
No.
If you phone the number, we're not encouraging that.
Now, this is an advert that it was hard to judge the tone of. It seems really, really serious and earnest up until a point, then there's a bit of a gag at the end, which I actually think is quite clever. I think it's quite a clever advert. This is one for Volvo, for anyone who's not watching.
The space age Volvo S80.
Yeah, these astronauts think they've been in space for like 20 years because the Volvo doesn't look like they think a Volvo looks. It's quite a clever advert.
It still looks exactly like a Volvo.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know what that product was. I don't remember that at all. That skin cleaning, cleansing thing.
But we're on now to an advert for Cellnet, actually previous sponsors of the pod. And this was the offer they were providing at the time, which is that you can dial a certain amount of numbers, you can nominate a certain amount of numbers to call for free until the millennium.
Yeah.
Great offer. Absolutely. Call 2 numbers free until the millennium. There we go.
Yeah, I wonder what year this came out. Bit of nudity here. Can you do that now? It seems slightly surprising when I watch this. I thought, do they do that now?
Indeed. And the Chris Evans voiceover as well.
Oh, that's who it is.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that he'd ever done any advertising voiceovers.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I'd stop this here because there's quite a lot to say about this.
Yeah. That was for Huggies, by the way, the nudity. It was a baby that was being nude, not an adult. But still, yeah, I don't know if you would do that anymore. There used to be loads of adverts for Huggies and Pampers on TV all the time, but maybe it's just the time of day that you're watching TV that varies. Or maybe kids these days just don't wear nappies. I don't know.
No idea. You're asking the wrong guy. Right.
Right. Play on.
Where are my notes? Hang on. Play on indeed. So this is for Weetabix. There were quite a few of these adverts at the time. which took sort of disco classics and made them into Weetabix adverts.
Yeah.
I remember there being one featuring a driving instructor, which was to the tune of "I Will Survive." But this one is to the tune of "Tragedy," and it involves a football referee with a cameo appearance from. Did you recognise who it was?
Of course I did. It's Jerry Francis.
Exactly, former Spurs and probably at that point current QPR manager.
Yes.
I think he'd gone back to QPR by then. I don't know how he came to be in the advert for Weetabix. Presumably, who makes Weetabix? Nestle? I don't know. They have some sort of tie-in with.
Are they not their own company?
Oh, they might be. I don't
think
know.
They might be.
Yeah.
One of the finest hairdos of 90s football, though, Jerry Francis, I think. Really hard to describe.
Still very much going today as well. If you ever see him, he's still rocking it. So fair play to you, Jerry.
Yeah.
Keep it going for as long as you can. More power to you.
Yeah.
Right. A famous world body form advert here.
Schwarzkopf adverts always had that same sort of voiceover. It's kind of a bit too full of themselves, I think, Schwarzkopf.
Mm-hmm.
Slow motion, everyone's like very upper middle class to upper class.
Yeah.
And kind of, that's not salt of the earth. It's the opposite of salt of the earth, Schwarzkopf.
I can never really get past the fact that Schwarzkopf literally translates as blackhead, which
Yeah.
obviously is not something you would, being a sufferer myself in my teenage years, it's not something that you would really associate with that sort of product.
No,
but there we go. Never mind.
Yeah.
A non-puppet Dormio advert.
Oh, it's
Nice to
better
see.
now with the puppets, isn't it? It's a rare example of an advert campaign that's better now. Now
this
this
is
is a
interesting.
very famous person, is it not, Stu, doing this advert?
This is Dudley Moore.
Dudley Moore.
Indeed. And this advert is about 2.5 minutes long as well,
It's
which
a
is
small
another
film.
thing outside of the John Lewis adverts. It is a short film. You're quite
Yeah.
right. It is.
A short, problematic film. Incorporating problematic tropes about Native Americans. It looks like it's filmed in America. It's got Dudley Moore in it, quite a big cast. And it's for Tesco's frozen pizza.
Yeah, it's a very laboured sort of concept as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
The entire thing. But yeah.
It's not even like a big pizza brand. It's not Chicago Town or Domino's or anything. It's specifically Tesco's own brand frozen pizza. It's mad.
They must have been very confident in it.
Yeah. They haven't even made it look nice. And his an unfunny gag about Native Americans.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Mushroom and bacon.
Authentic American base, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Now a nice Beryl Cook animated advert here. Inspired by Beryl Cook at least.
Mm-hmm. With the voice of Les Dawson.
Ah, is it? Yeah.
It is. And
Okay.
this was another series of ads, again, for the post office.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very, very big on advertising at the time. Post office, Royal Mail. Again, not something that you would maybe see these days, so it's good to see. But this was part of a long-running and popular ad campaign.
Yeah. Is that an early 90s Mitre Showers Aston Villa shirt she's waving over there?
Mitre the copiers, mate.
Oh, copier, sorry, yeah.
You're getting mixed up with Myra Showers.
I am. That's exactly what I'm getting mixed up.
It very much could be. Yeah, you're quite right. I didn't notice that first time around, but it could be. I like to think it is.
Oh, I love that old post office logo. Well, maybe it is the old one, isn't it? Yeah, it makes me think of Postman Pat. Dear Pat. Now, here's another big Hollywood star.
Another very famous face advertising Holston Pills this time.
It's a fine lager, Stu. You know I like it.
Hey, I'm a skull man. All right.
It's drinking out of one of the weirdest shaped beer glasses I've ever seen. It's like it's almost like a champagne flute. But it does make me want the Holston Pills, undoubtedly. Buffy from Giles here.
Giles from Buffy.
It's Giles from Buffy.
Yeah, you said Buffy from Giles.
Giles from Buffy. Buffy
Just
from the spin-off
wrapped
program.
by the advert. I hadn't noticed this. So this again is another long-running campaign, the Gold Blend campaign, which was very, very popular in the similar sort of stratosphere as Papa and Nicole, I think, from the Renault Clio
Renault Clio,
adverts.
yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't realise that was Anthony Head. Not a clue.
Yeah, playing a love rat as per.
Now, my big question with this is that Jamie Theakston? No, I don't think it is. Is when did Oil of Ulay change to Olay? That's my big question here.
Yeah, it's one of those brands, isn't it, that changed to fit the global market.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon it would have been early 2000s would be my guess. Maybe around the same time that Cocoa Pops became Choco Krispies. Or maybe that was earlier.
The slightly less successful name change.
Yeah. I don't remember this DIY shop at all. Do it all.
So
was it a shop or online or what?
It was a shop. Voucher valid there until February 1992.
Oh.
So Do It All became Focus Do It All, and then became Focus, which then of course
Great Mills.
Yeah. So it became a national DIY conglomerate.
Yes. Okay.
But Do It All, very, very large DIY chain in the early 90s, absolutely.
Lovely. Well, I think we're in Italy here.
We are. It's another quite long advert, this, isn't it?
Yeah. Really trying to set the scene up. They're trying to take you there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that voice. That voice slightly makes my hackles rise. That sort of half-whispered narration there.
I know what you mean.
It's just a bit too sickly sweet, kind of.
Who only puts one olive on a pizza?
I know, it's stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
I tell you what, if I went on a date with someone and they brought out a frozen San Marco pizza, that'd be the end of it, I think. That's not
so.
good, is it?
What you're saying is, on balance, is you would prefer a Tesco bacon and mushroom with a authentic American base, as
I think so,
advertised by Dudley Moore.
Given the choice out of those two, yeah, I probably would.
One thing I noticed at the end of the advert there, San Marco manufactured by McVitie's.
Oh, right. Well spotted. That famous Italian brand, McVitie's.
So I hope they're not using sort of old, digested biscuits for the base. That would be that'd be quite the taste fusion, wouldn't it?
It did look like it when they got out of the oven. It was so rigid. It did look like a giant digestive base.
So we won't be accepting anything from San Marco in future on the pod. Okay.
Well done for reading the small print, though.
Right. So having mentioned Papa and Nicole earlier on, we now do have an advert for Renault.
Mm-hmm.
I recognise this actor. And
yes,
it's been
so do I.
bothering me for about a week since I first watched this video, and I can't place him.
He does other adverts, doesn't he? But I think he's also done stuff outside of adverts.
Hold on. I've just realised who it is.
Who is it?
I know who this is.
Who is it?
It's the dad off of My Parents Are Aliens.
Oh, wow, okay. Well remembered.
Who is in other things and is still an actor now, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think his name's Tony something or other. But that's definitely him. That
Nice.
I've just realised who it is. Yeah, brilliant. So this is for the Megane, which had just come out at the time.
The model above the Clio would have sat between the Clio and the Laguna, I suppose, at this point, unless the Laguna hadn't come out yet. I think it had. The Megane Coupe is an absolutely beautiful car.
Lovely. I've got one note for this, which is Psychedelic Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you kind of don't know what it's for, do you? Until, well, when it says isotonic, I suppose you can guess, but it is, of course, for Luca's age. The bottles that you would see at the side of every Premier League and Championship pitch back in the day, or Division 1 as it was.
Indeed.
Pitch.
Gets to you first fast.
Yeah. Now, another big Hollywood star here, that is Kyle MacLachlan from Twin Peaks and Blue Velvet and all those other David Lynch films.
I did not know that.
I think they're sort of doing an impression of Mulder and Scully here, really.
I think it is, yes. Yes. And then there's a humorous Londoner character here for some comic relief. Unknown actor.
Yeah. I don't think he was in Twin Peaks anyway.
No, I don't think so. But advertising the fact that Vodafone gets signal in 37 different countries.
That seems quite impressive actually for back then. I have no idea how it compared to other providers, but I'm quite impressed even watching it in 2023. A very old logo there for Vodafone.
Yeah. It was on the that used to be on the front of the Nissan touring cars when the Nissan Works team was sponsored by Vodafone.
Yes,
that logo was on the car.
Yeah.
Now,
David Leslie days.
Indeed, Anthony Reid. This bath chair looks great to me.
It does look good. I wouldn't mind that.
No, absolutely. I'd like a bath first of all. We'd have to sort that out first. But then if the guys at AquaSoothe want to get in touch, then yeah, I'd be quite happy to accept one on a sailor return basis.
They always get models that are kind of too young for that sort of product, aren't they? That woman looked like she was about 52. But not that you can't have sort of mobility issues when you're younger, but still. I think they're slightly scared of using genuinely elderly models for those sort of adverts. They shouldn't be.
Now it's good old Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, now there are a few of these, weren't there? These BT adverts with Bob back in the day.
Indeed. We've seen a few of these, which are one in a series. We've seen a few of these in this little collection.
Yeah. Did you also notice? I forgot to say about the bath seat that they'd offer a full colour brochure if you rang them. So.
Oh right, I didn't notice that.
Not black and white; it was full colour. So if you're interested,
I'll definitely give them a ring. Bob Hoskins, of course, most famous for his tour de force performance as Mario in the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, it was Oscar nominated for that, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, I believe so, yeah. And rightly so.
Yeah. Now, Stu, have you ever eaten a Solero with a spoon?
Oh, this is the same note I've got. This is absolutely the same note I've got. Who does that?
It's so annoying, isn't it?
That's what the stick is there for. I don't get that.
It's defeating the whole point of an ice lolly, mate.
We can't get bogged down in that. That's just going to have to be left and accepted. All right.
Yeah.
We just know that nobody in their right mind would do that.
Yeah, it wasn't even his because that woman was eating it, and there was a big gap out the side where he'd gashed it with his spoon. Out of order.
Big F1 fan, Alex. What did you make of this?
This seems to be an advert aimed at specifically Formula One teams, of which there were 11 in the world. So surprising that they put this on national TV. But there you go. It worked because every team in 1996 had Goodyear, so the advert obviously worked.
As it said there, yeah. This is another advert where you don't know what it's for. I've tried to identify that goalkeeper top, but I couldn't do it.
I think it looks a bit like the Italian keeper from World Cup '94, Pagliuca. That would be my guess.
Okay, righto.
But unlikely. But
we'll have to slow it down again and see what we can make out. But yeah, right until the end, there's no clue what this is for. And then I wouldn't have guessed Booper, but there you go. That's the way these things go.
Yeah, it's just about selling a vibe, isn't it? A feeling, an emotion.
The vibe sort of good vibe that only private healthcare can give you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just giving off good vibes if you know that you're sorted for healthcare. Oh, now hold on one second. This is an advert for one of the greatest spy movies of the 90s, Spy Hard, with Leslie Nielsen.
I've never seen it, but the trailer really makes me want to see it.
It won't take you long to watch it because it is about 75 minutes.
Really?
It's just like TV special length. And believe me, by the end of that 75 minutes, it's got nowhere else to go. They've wrung every single drop out of it that they could. But it was great to see it pop up here. A beloved film of my childhood. And yeah, heartily recommend it to anyone. Just disengage your brain first.
Young Jack D here, drinking a very old-fashioned beer, John Smith's.
I don't think that Jack D is a John Smith's kind of guy.
No, he's not. Is he?
I definitely see him as more of a red wine.
Yeah.
They're
trying to push like a new audience towards John Smith's, I think, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if it worked because they obviously then went on to Peter Kay. I don't think that worked because it pretty much died a death after that. Or I'm sure you can still get it in some places. But
better times for P&O here.
Yeah, this is before they started sacking staff and bringing in bailiffs with clubs to get them off the ships, and then basically being corporate crooks. But
before they became the world's worst employers.
Yeah. Oh, was that the Jeff's libel bell I hear dinging?
I think it might have been. Yeah, it might have been. That's another one we're going to have to face down in court.
Yeah. Well, bring it on, P&O. I'm not scared of you. Actually, I am scared of you. The way they treat the staff.
The first name in cruising.
Yeah.
Another whimsical animated advert for a dairy product here, which did seem to be really the case at the time. Chocolates, cheese, butter. They were all animated, weren't they?
Yeah, that's true. What's that all about? It's like a dairy trope.
Obviously a winning formula.
Yeah. I don't remember Golden Crown.
No, me neither. I guessed what this was for immediately, and I was wrong.
What did you think it was for?
Well, I thought it was going to be for Which magazine.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see why. I mean, with big question mark there. But of course, it turns out to be for What's on TV. And I had to pause the frame here on the cover of the magazine just to see what was going on. Fireworks in Emmerdale. The chap there is a character called Chris Tate. I remember that much from my early 90s soap opera osmosis, from being around my mum. What's on TV magazine of the year, whenever this was. So yeah, it can't be argued.
I mean, how can that be magazine? How bad were the magazines where a TV listings magazine was the best magazine that year? How badly does that reflect on Q?
Well, it just says here voted magazine of the year, but it doesn't say in what context. Was it the National TV Awards magazine of the year?
Yeah.
Because they're hardly going to vote Maxim as their magazine of the year, are they? So yeah, possibly that's what's going on here. 125 grand to be won as well, up for grabs there in the bottom left hand corner.
Too shabby. The flames of passion are burning in the dales.
My mum and dad still avid What's on TV readers.
I can imagine your dad just propped up in bed, like with his reading glasses on, flicking through that of a night.
Absolutely, sketching out the week ahead's viewing.
Yeah.
It always sort of confused me when the previous weeks, or the next week's What's on TV, I should say, would always be out at the end of the previous week, so on a Thursday. And then if my mum and her sister, my auntie Pam, and my gran were all together, which they quite often were on a Thursday night, they would have the new TV magazine, and my mum would just go through, and they'd have like what happens in all the soap operas for the week ahead, like exactly what's going to happen. Like, just watch it. Like, what? Would you do that with a film?
Yeah.
Like, right, we're going to go and watch this film on Saturday, so let's read the plot and find out exactly what happens before we go.
I've never understood it.
No, and I questioned this at the time, but because I was 7 years old, I was told to pipe down, But it always struck me as a bit odd that they would do that and just, take all the magic out of it.
Yeah, I don't get it. The headline, the front page gives it away as well, often.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got something to work with there, but it doesn't tell you the whole story.
No, it's true.
But why go inside in the magazine and do that? I don't know. Anyway, that's another decades-old grievance I've just aired. My favourite car advert of the lot. It has to be said. Obviously, I have a big affinity for Vauxhall.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of well-known faces in this advert as well. So the older chap standing up there is Nigel Hawthorne of Yes Minister and other programmes. And then the lady in the advert is an actress called Mel Martin, who was in Mind Only Fools and Horses in guest roles as well. And
the other guy, that guy getting out of the car, I recognise, but I can't think from what. He's a fairly big actor, I think.
Lovely Astra Mark III there as well. Possibly the nicest model, I think.
Yeah. It was, well designed. Still see a lot of them around as well, so they must have been well made.
So this is the final advert in this collection. It's for Direct Line Insurance. And the note I have here is that it's supposed to be the older chap's 50th birthday.
Oh, I missed that. Oh dear.
He looks at least 70.
God, is that what we're going to look like when we're 50?
I hope so. I'd love a tweed jacket and some half moon specs.
Ah. Oh,
I would
well.
love that. And the famous red telephone there as well.
Yeah, on wheels. Yeah, that's disappeared. I don't know if Direct Line still exists, but that phone on wheels definitely doesn't anymore.
The Direct Line do, but they're not on price comparison websites. Of course.
What are they afraid of?
It could be argued that we've just given Direct Line some free advertising there.
Oh, they need it.
But we've given lots of people free advertising, haven't we, tonight? It's just the nature of the programme.
Yeah,
nature of the exercise tonight. Yeah, a lovely set of adverts there. I enjoyed going through those. I hope you did too as well, listening in at home, and I hope we've provided some decent commentary over those. What did you think?
Yeah, it wasn't a bad selection at all. There was definitely an indication that some of those things were towards the end of the decade where things were starting to change. You know, mobile phones were starting to become more readily available. Technology was changing with the televisions. So yeah, it was a nice time capsule in that way. You got to see what cars were being released around that time, which actors were on their uppers and having to take work in adverts instead of the films. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah. Well, that was our blast through some of the adverts of the 90s. We hope you enjoyed the ride and you watched along with us. If you've got anything to say about any of those adverts or any other adverts from the decade or anything else at all, we would love to hear from you as usual. You can contact us using the links on our link tree, which you can find at linktr.ee/allright90s podcast. That's 90s 90s. But we will link to it in the episode description as we always do. And we would love to hear from you. We don't know what we're doing next time because we never do, but it'll be entertaining. It'll be nostalgic. And
we'll try our best.
Probably litigious. Yeah, we'll.
Guaranteed litigious. Guaranteed.
Yeah. But until then, it's a goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. I'm just off to make some toast with some lovely golden crown butter.
See you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.